We're talking about the nonpartisanship thing, and I'm just curious what kind of reaction you got at the Villages and at speaking to the MLA.
Well, it's always interesting. Well, you know, one of my backgrounds that I talk about, and I think it's important, that's why I always talk about women's issues, because I don't believe there are such things as women's issues. Women's issues are issues that affect men, especially young men, children, our families. They're universal. They affect everybody. And that's why more young men should go out and talk like I'm talking to people that might not necessarily agree with abortion or income inequality. So when I go to some of these areas, I mean, I've gone to the Panhandle, which is pretty red as well. The Villages is interesting. It's a more wealthy, it's very interesting. It's a more wealthy community, so we oftentimes find in partisan politics that more of the money seems to be kind of concentrated in the Republican Party. So they do have they have a population just in the Villages alone, and this is Sumter County, of 115,000 people. But they have 33,000 registered Democrats in that area. They do have Democrats, they just are in the closet, if you will. And it's been interesting talking to them. I mean, it's been interesting talking to people that are not going to agree with me on the common sense reality that is universal background checks on any and all gun sales. That is such a common sense thing that 9 out of 10 gun owners support in this country. We had, I believe it was in 2013, it was like right after Sandy Hook, the tragic shooting that had gone on. It was H.R. 1565, this bill in the United States Congress that would have implemented universal background checks on any and all gun sales. Fortunately, that failed, which breaks my heart, because if we can't do this for 20 children that are going to be shot in their elementary school and 6 teachers in a public school, a school should be safe, always. So when I get to talk about these issues to conservatives, they're not going to agree with me. I'm very blunt. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say, but I'm always respectful. And I think that's something that's missing right now in American politics. I mean, Dale knows most of our friends, our very close friends, are Republicans. I would say probably about 90% of my friends are Republicans. They're not always going to agree with me. It's funny, I was just at a synagogue the other day for a bar mitzvah for the one family, and they are all Republican, and he was saying to me, because I'm thinking about running for office next year, you would be the second Democrat I've ever gotten to vote for in my life, next to Alex Sink, because Rick Scott was that bad in 2010. But I find that, you know, I understand Republicans and where they come from. I was raised Baptist. I was raised pretty conservatively in terms of social issues. My family has, thank God, it evolved on a lot of those issues, including abortion and gay marriage. But, you know, I come at it always respectfully, and I come with an open mind and an open ear, and more importantly, an open heart. I am very genuine when I talk to conservatives and others that are not going to agree with, whether it be homosexuality, women's issues, or most of the things that the Democratic Party and our platform, what we stand for and what we have put forth on the Democratic platform. I always come in a way that is very respectful and genuine, and most are receptive. And that's what I think is missing in American politics, and that's why I mentioned intentionally FDR, and I think that's why Hillary's trying to go back to that time in our nation's history, where he did give America a New Deal. We have gotten to such an ugly time in American politics right now where it is left and right, and it shouldn't be about left and right. It shouldn't be about Democrat and Republican. It should be about who is right and who is wrong on the issues that affect our families and our communities, in particular middle-class families that are struggling to make it in this really hard economy right now. So I come at it in a very genuine way. Some are receptive, and I continue that dialogue and conversation with them, whether it be over dinner or just going out and getting to know them and their families, going to their homes. And I think that's something that's missing. I mean, I remember talking about politics growing up with my mom and my brothers and my grandparents, and we all have different views, but that's something that we did around the dinner table growing up, and that's not something that I think a lot of people do. Even Democrats in their own household or Republicans in their own household. We're just missing that candid, open discussion and dialogue about a transfer and exchange of honest, open ideas, and I think that when you talk to others, in particular those who you're not always going to agree with, that is the best way to try to change the hearts and minds of others is just by being open yourself and trying to understand them, because Lord knows that I do try to understand them. And I learn a lot by talking with others who I do not agree with on much. So that's my answer to that. Any other question? Go ahead.
I'm delighted that you talked about maybe running for office. I find that it's the people who have been in office, and then there's this huge gap, like here in Pasco County. It's just, there's no way of fostering that, and I think it's going to have to be our younger group.
Well, I think so too.
That's one of the reasons why Danny Burgess made it, is just because of his youth. I don't agree with him, I don't much, but he brings something new, and I think if we can't find that age group in there.
That's why Jennifer Sullivan was elected just last year. She's the one that co-sponsored the 24-hour waiting period for the abortion. That was like a girl in her 20s. I met her. I was pissed off at her. I went up to her with a bunch of Democratic women to talk to that young girl about the experiences of these women who have lived her life many times over. Women in their 70s and 80s going up to her and saying, "Oh, girl, what are you doing?" So, you know, that's one of the things that I have talked, after I leave here, I have 2 events after this. I have 4 events today. 2 events after this, I'm going to be at the Pasco County Democratic Executive Committee, a fundraiser for them, and the chair of the Florida Democratic Party is going to be there. I have not always agreed with Allison Tant-Richard, especially last year. I was very, very much so a very loud supporter of this woman named Ann Rich, who ran for governor, a progressive, a Democratic woman, and I did not like the way that she was being treated by her own party. And I agreed with her on virtually every issue in the state. And that's the kind of leadership that we need to go towards. But after Charlie Crist had lost the governorship here, and the Democrats really had just taken a beating around the country, and especially around the state here, both the state house and the state senate. Fortunately, we're seeing the repercussions of many of those actions with these gun laws and these abortion bills. So the first things that they go after, because they don't know how to fix the economy. They don't have a plan B for any kind of universal health care coverage or any kind of health care plan. I mean, do some kind of Newt Gingrich, he actually proposed some kind of health care plan. But right now, it's just they're not proposing one. And if they had actually one, I would be open and I would be receptive to try to hear that. There are good parts of the Affordable Care Act and there are bad parts of the Affordable Care Act. No piece of legislation is perfect. It's like NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. Were there good aspects of that? Yeah. There's a lot of bad aspects of that over time, the implementation of it, it was not what it was supposed to be. Trade agreements are sometimes bad, sometimes they work and they don't work. But I talked to Allison, she called me, I was the first person she called after we lost here in Florida last year. And she wanted to find out how she could really, talk to a young person that is as involved as I am, because I am very, very involved at the state level, especially with women's groups. And like I said, next year is going to be the year of women in general, and I hope that Hillary Clinton will be at the top of the ticket fighting for that cause. But she talked to me, and one of the things that I said, I talked about youth. I have a lot of people that tell me that, oh, you're idealistic. You can't, you're too young. You can't run for office. One thing that I can do that a lot of people that are much older than I can't do is I'm going to be able to raise money. And unfortunately, that's the bad part of politics right now. It's getting the dark, unaccountable money out of there. But I think that we need to have younger people step up to the plate. I think that by doing that, we're going to engage the younger millennial generation that does not care, which kills me. I talk to so many young people all the time. They just don't care. They don't vote. And when I talk to especially young women, I tell them some of these laws, oh, you're making that up. Girl, I'm not making that up. They have a 24-hour waiting period for abortions now in this state. I mean, the laws are just so ludicrous. So I think that we should have younger people step up to the plate. I think we should have people who are older step up to the plate. Jerry Brown is a perfect example of that. He's the governor of California. I think he's 76 years old. He's amazing. I don't think you're ever too young or too old to learn or to grow from other people and to have that open discussion and dialogue and that transfer of ideas. So I actually will be coming to that decision. I kind of know what I'm going to do, but I will make that decision public in September of this year. My election will be in November of next year, which is the same time as hopefully Hillary's and Amanda Murphy's. I think it's really important just for young people to step up to the plate, because we don't really have a voice in my generation right now. If we did, I would say it's, unfortunately, and this is the joke of it, the Miley Cyruses, the YOLO, One Life to Live, Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber. That's not how I operate. That's not realistic, and I need to do everything that I can to be a role model, to show younger people that, see, you can grow, it doesn't matter what your age is, young or old, gay, straight, black, white, male, female, Asian, Latino, whatever you are or who you are, you gotta step up and you gotta run. And that's the way that I plan on trying to change this state. In Pinellas County, that's where I live over in Largo, to some capacity, to really fight off a lot of these laws that are just horrible. I mean, I really got involved and passionate about politics when I was younger, always checking out books. When people were taking, I was at a much advanced reading level than other children my age when I was younger, and I always grew up to take AP classes. And I account a lot of that for reading, and my mom stressing to me the importance of reading and singing and trying to, you know, expand my vocabulary. So it's interesting to me, because I think what's always inspired me to get involved has been the fact that I was raised by a single mom. For the first 8 years of my life, I had a father who physically beat and tormented my mother, my brothers, and myself. And seeing that replaying over my mind again and again, that's why I support people like Hillary Clinton. And that's why I tend to gravitate so much towards women and women's issues, even though all issues are women's issues. I just gravitate so much towards that because my mother has just inspired me to go from where she was, to go from that horrible situation of domestic violence, and to raise me. I mean, people say that, that, you know, if you're raised by a single mom, you're going to have one life and you're never going to be able to be a product of anything successful in society. Well, I tell people, you want to see what children of single mothers look like? There's two people that I know. The names are Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. So that's what I go after. That's what really inspires me to stay involved, and I try to engage young people in any way that I can.
Hi, my name is Pam Oaks. I live right here in the Lakes. And I have a compliment and a comment and then a question.
Okay.
The compliment is you look stunning against the backdrop of the Land O'Lakes
Okay.
the skyline of Land O'Lakes. But not only are you a beautiful package, I really appreciate the message today. You're not only, I can imagine, a role model for millennials, but I'm becoming a quick fan too. You have inspired me.
Good.
And so you have my support, so keep up the good work. The comment I would say is that we have to watch our thinking. Quantum physicists will agree that there's, behind every thought, there's a tremendous amount of energy. And I think we should just stay focused on "You're the woman" as a mantra, or Hillary herself. Just picture her as president, and try not to give energy to all the loudmouths.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Because whole elections that were close have been swayed, it is believed, because of that phenomenon.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't think voters like negativity. I mean, 2 events from now that I'm going to, I know that there are going to be, I'm just using him as an example, and this is a non-partisan organization, so I'm going to talk about it. But Bernie Sanders, he has 2 people that are coming. And I know that when I go to this, because they're doing it in a debate style, I know that I'm going to be attacked very viciously. And, you know, but I welcome that. And, you know, when I do that, when people, and I love it, because when I have the opportunity to talk about Hillary Clinton, and especially when a lot of times it's men that are attacking her, and where I have found there has been a lot of negativity from the Sanders campaign towards Hillary Clinton, not necessarily from him, but from his supporters, and some of the people that are actually hired, you know, organizers in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, and Nevada, using the words like entitled or elitist, those are sexist words. To me, those are sexist words because I don't hear those words being used to describe Jeb Bush. I don't hear those words being used to describe Mitt Romney in 2012. And when I hear things like "in bed with Wall Street," you're basically insinuating that Hillary Clinton is a whore. I don't like that. There are a lot of, I love having the open debates and discussions that I can when people come at me negatively, because for me it's a way to talk about a lot of the language that they're using, to some extent, is misogynistic, and it is sexist. So I use it as an opportunity to try to teach, for everyone to grow, and I try to never come at a place from negative, because I just believe that, you know, it detracts from the issues at hand, because there are so many issues that are facing all of us around the country, around the world, and in the state of Florida especially, in the central part of Florida. My gosh, voters don't like negativity. I don't either, and I'm going to try to be as positive as I can, and that's why I said, you know, it's the organizing with heart and trying to win every day. And if I feel like I won today, just by being here in this room, being able to talk to you and seeing that you guys are receptive of this, and for me, that outweighs all the negative. I don't like going negative. Just be happy and stay in a positive, progressive place.
Well, you'll need those tools, and you're no stranger to violence. You grew up with violence, and these attacks are kind of a form of violence, you know, with words and stuff.
No, I agree.
So, I mean, when you got that genuine in your heart, and you're coming from your heart, I mean, I think you'll handle it just fine, because that's all you have to do.
I hope. I mean, I've talked about running for office before, and I've had hit pieces written on me. And, you know, I'm openly HIV positive. I've been positive since I was 16 years old. It's a very unfortunate situation, but I believe everything happens for a reason, and God blessed me with the gift to be able to talk to young people, women and girls, and young gay men in particular, about the dangers of unprotected sex and unwarranted teenage pregnancy. So I kind of use that as a tool to be able to talk and connect, especially with millennials. But, you know, I think it's so important for young people to, like I was saying, step up and give back, and to go away from the negative and some of the things that so many young people are kind of...
Towards what you want.
And towards actually what you want. For me, it's always the word objective. What do you want? What do you want out of life? What do you want to do to make the world a better place? It's not just enough to say that this is what you want to do and that's what you're going to do. But, you know, you can have a beautiful vision for the state and whatever office that you're going to run for. You can have a great, beautiful, progressive vision for what you want America to be. But how are you going to lead us there? X, A, B, C, D, all the way through Z. How are you going to pragmatically lead us there? That's leadership and that's experience. And for me, I'm starting off at a very small level if I decide to run for this seat next year. And those are the kind of candidates that I gravitate towards, like Nan Ridge, who was in the State House. She was a state senator. She was minority leader, the first woman elected to that position in 2012, the state senator here in Florida. Hillary Clinton has a lifetime of experience. And I've just seen so many people, in particular just men, white men, and then of course Barack Obama, have an opportunity to step up to the plate. And I think that we need to change that. I think that the world would dramatically change if we had a woman as president, especially a mother. You come from a different place.
I'm not a mother, but I did have a question. And speaking about white men, I'm wrong about. Do you see a replay of what happened in his tenure? That he's has a lot of these qualities that you're talking about in Hillary, but he had a House and Senate, and he couldn't really get anything done. Couldn't be effective. Do you see a replay of that if she gets elected?
You know, it's statistically, from our nation's history, going back to FDR especially, it takes about 5 to 7 years to recover from the Great Depression, from a horrible, stagnant economy that we're in, even right now where we're just stuck. You know, I think that we will really start to see many of the benefits of some of the things that Barack Obama has done, and some of the things that he hasn't done as president after 2016. I think that, you know, if we go back in our nation's history, is it unlikely for a Democrat to follow another Democrat? Yes, but I think this is much, it's much bigger than that. It's not just about electing the first woman president, it's about electing the right person for the job, and she just happens to be a woman. And I know a lot of my Republican friends that I was talking about that might not necessarily agree with me, they feel comfortable with Hillary Clinton. And I think that she'll get a lot of Republican support. I hope that she will, and I hope that she'll change their minds, especially on women's issues and things that affect families majorly, like financial means and income inequality. I just think it's appalling that we haven't addressed income inequality in this country in regards to how men make this much more than women. It's unfair. Go ahead.
You know, people forget, early on, when Bill Clinton was elected, Hillary tried to pass I don't know if it was single payer.
It was universal healthcare.
And I remember that so profoundly, and I thought, if people forgot that, you know, that's what she wanted, and hopefully if she becomes president, she would do that.
Oh, they painted her out to be a socialist, all these things, and that's I mean, many of those things.
The difficulty is when a group controls the definition of some words, like socialist. You know, that they control